Hello everybody, I'm Sarah Banks from Banks' Business Solutions, and today I want to talk to you about websites. Now, what I'm seeing at the moment is an increasing number of people that are having websites developed by designers that are unresponsive, that aren't sharing key information with their clients, or creating sites with a promise that the client can update it, and when they actually get the site, that isn't the case. Now, this post isn't about bashing web designers. I design websites myself, and there are some fantastic web designers out there. What I really want to do today is just go over the 10 key things that you should ask a web designer before you engage with them, before you hand over any money and start working with them. And this will really help those of you that are looking to get new websites developed, amendments made to the one that you've currently got, or that are starting out or offering advice to other startup businesses, so that you can really be clear from the start who's responsible for what and who owns what. So the first thing is the domain name. That's your www.whatever.com.co.uk, whatever it is. So you need to check who owns that. Now, it should be you. It's your site, it's your business, you should own the domain. The next thing to check is who's going to own the hosting, who's going to sort out the hosting contract with the hosting company, and who has overall responsibility for it. Now, if you're not technically minded, you might not want to actually own the hosting yourself, and I completely understand that. However, if the hosting isn't in your name, then there is the potential risk that you won't be able to access it in the future. So I would strongly advise you to have the hosting in your own name and to provide access for your web designer to it. Third question to ask your web designer is, what system is my website being built in? There are so many different systems out there. My preferred system is WordPress. Another good one is Squarespace. There's also Wix, Weebly. A lot of the hosting companies have their own website builders. You need to know what your site is being built in, because if you have an issue in the future, you need to be able to tell the person that's going to help you fix that what your site is built in. Fourth thing, if your site is being built in WordPress, you need to know what theme is being used on that site and who owns the license to the theme. Now, a word of caution here. Designers that are doing complex sites will more often than not create their own theme, which is fantastic because a lot of the off-the-shelf themes won't always give you as the client the flexibility that you want for your site. However, if a designer is creating their own theme, you may find that the process of updating that site in the future isn't as straightforward as a standard off-the-shelf WordPress theme. So you need to weigh the two things up and be really clear as to how you're going to learn to update that site afterwards. Next thing is to ask the designer whether or not you will have full administrative access to the site once it has gone live. Now, I've come across this 3 or 4 times in the last couple of months where a client has asked me to assist with a WordPress site, and it happens with other systems as well. And I haven't been able to do what they wanted me to do because they didn't have full administrative access. So that's absolutely critical that you have that, because otherwise you will be restricted as to what you can do on the site or what somebody that comes to help you in the future can do. Next thing, now this is really, really important, is to ask your designer if they have a standard contract that outlines who is responsible for what during the build and the timelines that you're working to. Now, I would never ever start working with a client without a contract being in place. And it's really important that you don't work with a web designer without a contract being in place. I can highly recommend the Coffee Clutch contracts, and I will pop a link in the comments to those if you're interested in getting them. Now, Coffee Clutch do a contract that can be issued by the web designer, but they also do one for you, the client, to issue to your web designer. So if they don't have anything in place, you can issue your own contract, which will hopefully give you some protection should anything start to go wrong during the build. And that's my next point. What if things go wrong? You really need to be asking that question of your designer right from the start. What happens if things goes wrong? What happens if I'm not happy with the site that you build me? What happens if you're unavailable and I need to get in touch with you? It's really important questions so that you know how you can challenge things if they're not quite how you want them to be. Question 8, the 8th thing to think about is, can we have regular progress calls? Now, why wouldn't somebody running any form of project want to give you a regular progress call? It's a great way of you checking in with the designer, finding out where they are with things, and possibly even if you do it via a videos call, they can screen share with you the site that may not be live at that point to show you their progress. Next one is, can you show me how to use the site once it's live? Now, regardless of what system the site's built in, you want to be able to do basic updates yourself. Even those of us that are very, very little technically minded, you know, sometimes we might want to update a sentence, we might want to upload a blog, we may need to change an image, and being able to do those basic things yourself is really, really important. So make sure that your designer is giving you some form of training. It may be a series of videos, it may be a document, but something that will give you the confidence to be able to do some basic updates yourself. And the final question that you should ask is, what is my commitment to you once the site is live? Some designers are using their own themes that they've paid for, and therefore that license wouldn't carry over to you if you stopped working with them. Some designers are using their own hosting. Obviously, we talked about hosting earlier on, and therefore you can't easily move the site if you decide you want to move it elsewhere. Some may require you to have a maintenance contract with them for a certain period of time. You really need to be clear as to what your commitment to that designer is once the site has gone live. So I hope that those top 10 tips have really helped you. As I said, I will pop a note in the comments with the link to the Coffee Klatch contracts for those that are interested. And please feel free to comment here, send me a private message and ask me any questions that you may have about websites or any issues you may have with your website at the moment, and I'd be happy to have a chat. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye.